this now. South African prisons are designed to accommodate around 105,000 inmates. But at this point, they're squeezing in well over 156,000. That's an overcrowding rate of 48%. And here's the twist. Of those inmates, around 22,000 are foreign nationals. Now, it costs you, South African taxpayer, 500 rands a day to house, feed, and clothe just one offender. And we're not talking just hardened criminals here. Many inmates are simply there because they can't afford bail, and it could be as low as 1,000 rand. Well, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services, Kgomotso Ramolobeng, has been vocal about these challenges and has unveiled an ambitious 8-point strategy to address this crisis, and joins us now on the line. A very good morning to you. Thank you for your time and welcome to our program.
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to listeners at home, and thank you for having me.
How bad is this problem of overcrowding in our correctional facilities?
It's extremely bad, Bongani. The numbers that you have just reiterated on are the 2023-2024 stats that were received in the Portfolio Committee. The current one that the department was able to finish us with on Tuesday was that we're currently sitting at 167,300 population of inmates in correctional facilities currently, and with a bed space of 107,000. So meaning we are overpopulated by 59,954 of inmates in facilities. That is 56% of overcrowding.
Gosh.
We're highly overcrowded.
It's getting worse, right? And of course, as I said in my introduction, the data also shows that a significant percentage of that number are foreign nationals. How does that complicate things?
It hampers more on the situation that's currently in facilities. The 22,612 foreign nationals inmates that are in facilities, the number could be more because this is also a stats of the 2023-2024. It could be more than this number currently. I would update the numbers with the department, but I would prefer to get this as well when the department appears in the Portfolio Committee on the 4th of February in Parliament. It will be a physical meeting for them to update us on the correct figures on currently how many foreign population of inmates do we have. And out of those who are incarcerated, 690 are serving life sentences in facilities. So, but for me right now, even if, Bongani, we take out the 22,000 of foreign nationals, out of the 167 overcrowded, we still are left around 140,000 of South Africans, which were still overcrowded. So there's a significant role they play in aiding on the overcrowding, but that does not mean it's only foreign population now that are making our prisons to be highly overcrowded. Well, you spoke also on issues of inmates that are unable to pay bail, as little as 500 rand, as little as 100, or less than 1,000 rand, which are also aiding on all the overcrowding. We have inmates or remand detainees that have a year or 2 years not getting a bail from the justice system, or some have not even been appearing to court, which are aiding as well to the current overcrowding system. You have state patients which are incarcerated in correctional facilities instead of being in mental health institutions, which are aiding on top of the current problems of overcrowding. So those are some of the contributors of a situation of overcrowding in correctional facilities that we need to look into and zoom into and try to get the department and the sister departments to assist correctional facilities to try and manage the issues of overcrowding.
I mean, because all of this costs money, right? 500 rand a day to feed, house, and clothe an inmate. Someone might argue we spend less on the poor in a month.
I wouldn't know how much we spend on a person a month, government-wise.
Well, I mean, just take the social relief of distress grant, for example. It's not quite apples for apples here, but you get the point I'm making.
Yes, I do get the point. Yes, it's quite steep. It's around 470, 480 a day that the department spends on one inmate. So inmates are obligated to get 3 meals a day, which is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It might differ on times of their dinner, breakfast, and so forth, 2 hours, but they are obligated to be getting 3 meals per day. So in those 3 meals, it costs up to 480 a day. And that is excluding their clothing apparel. So what they wear in prison, the orange overalls, you'll have the white overalls, which are those who are designated in kitchens. You have the blue overalls in some facilities, but mainly blue, it's the female side of sections. So that is excluding that. So cost can be added with the clothing attires in correctional facilities.
You've painted quite a picture there. Is there a way to rejig, redesign, rethink the system? Because as we've discussed, in some ways, it often costs more to keep them behind bars than it might in terms of, say, for example, bail amounts that they're required to post to secure their attendance at whatever proceedings they may still face. I mean, is there a way to reimagine how all of this could work to avoid where we are?
Look, there is a discussion we have started, or when I came in last year in July as the chair of the Portfolio Committee, I found JICS, which is the Judicial Inspectorate of Correctional Services, busy with a proposal of bail funding for those who will not be able to afford bail as little as 100 rands or 500 rands, and see if that can come in place to try and alleviate the pressure. So we'll be getting that research work that JICS would have prepared before the Portfolio Committee, I think sometime in March, and see if we can expand on it and try to benchmark with other countries that are already doing that proposal of bail funding. There are 2 correctional facilities that are being built, 90% complete. There's one in the Eastern Cape, Begersdorp side of the Aliwali North, which is 90% complete. We're expecting that by September it should be operational. The second one is in Northwest in Paris. It was an old facility. So they built a new facility next to it, which we're expecting that within this financial year, it should be operational, because we were given an impression that it's 90% complete. And there is one in Brest, which was going through major renovation. So these are 3 facilities. Once completed, then they will be operational, and we're expecting that also would be able to ease the overcrowding that we're facing in facilities, and also engagement with the Department of Health and also the Portfolio Committee on Health on how can they best relieve the pressure of state patients in facilities and take them to mental health institutions, because prison warders or officials are not equipped to be able to looking after state patients.
Because, of course, some of those inmates are people who may have appeared to have committed a crime, but the reasons perhaps, as you say, might be because of mental health challenges. Here's a question, though, for you. Your committee is working on, shall we call it, rehabilitation-focused sentencing. What's your response to people who say this approach isn't working, that we're not necessarily safer or with less violent levels of crime in our society? I mean, how many times have parolees, for example, reoffended? Just the other day, in fact, we were talking about one now accused of raping nurses at a clinic after tying up security guards in Limpopo. So, and excuse my phrasing, aren't rehabilitative sentences a fart in the wind?
Not entirely at all. We've seen successes since I joined the Portfolio Committee, of those who would have reached their minimum detention and they're incorporated with their families or society outside, or those who are in parole, going through parole systems, who have successes of their story, who have managed to do.
But aren't those the exception to the rule?
It is exception to the rule. Look, the department has reached a 96.2% of matric results. of those who want to change in the system, those who immediately when they incarcerated, they took the route of going back to school. Others are assisted by NSFAS, others have families coming on board. There are those who are busy with skills programs inside. How they get out of the system and when they reoffend, some is issues of economic challenges, unemployment, unable to find jobs. Others, we don't know whether they were doing it inside pretending they are rehabilitated or...
Well, this is part of the difficulty. This is part of the difficulty. As you say,
yes.
Those that do seem to have been rehabilitated are the exception to the rule. But we also know, for example, that major challenges with things like contraband in prison. In fact, if you just think about cell phones, for example, the number of cell phones that are often found in our facilities, and we know many syndicates or gang members or leaders, in fact, run their operations from inside.
That's true. We've seen a worrying number of smuggling of contrabands, and within that, a high number is cell phones that are found in inmates. You had the story of Goodwood. We've seen in Mampuru, we've seen in Johannesburg Correctional Facility, which was formerly known as Sun City, Modape Correctional Facility. But there is an established interdepartmental committee between SAPS and the department addressing inmates who commit further crimes inside prison by smuggling of cell phones, or if they're found with contraband or any other who are currently incarcerated. So if you are serving a sentence of robbery, you will get a further charge inside again of smuggling a cell phone or a contraband. And this also includes the intelligence unit as part of that interdepartmental committee. So as I indicated, if we could have collaborative efforts between the sister departments that cuts across each other, working together, possibly we can find ways in alleviating some of those challenges found in correctional facilities. So this is how the department is trying to curb the smuggling of contraband in correctional facilities. But we are going to have them appear before the Portfolio Committee on the 11th of February to give us a dire state of smuggling of contraband in the whole country, because of these are the stats I was giving you in Gauteng, and this is based on our previous oversight that we did in October in Gauteng. So we want to look at the national picture, how scary it is on contraband.
Gosh, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a pretty picture, but I appreciate your time. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on that date, the 11th of February. That's Kgomotso Ramolobeng, who is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services, essentially saying that at this moment, our prisons have almost 60,000 more inmates than they have the capacity for. Is it any wonder so many reoffend?
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions,
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.